to bed, America. Your government is in control again. Here, watch this. Shut up. You are free to do as we tell you. You are free to do as we tell you.
She is Dr. Helen Caldicott. One more time.
It's hard for me to refocus now. I've been in this country now for 6 weeks. I came from Australia partly to come here because I was invited by Occupy Portland. I have never looked at Hanford. I didn't do it today because we didn't have time. I've written about it extensively in my books. Portland was set up, Hanford was set up. Did I say Hanford? Hanford was set up virtually to blow up the world. Hanford has produced the plutonium for about 77,000 hydrogen bombs. And as I talk, I'm looking at policemen, and I'm wondering what the policemen are doing here. Because we're all conservatives, and we're for conserving life on the planet. And I don't know why we have to be watched over by policemen, who also probably have children and want their children to survive as well, right? Anyway, Hanford was set up during the Manhattan Project to manufacture plutonium from uranium, which was mined in Canada and brought here and put in, I think they built 7 nuclear reactors to fission uranium and manufacture plutonium. You should know that in every 1,000 megawatt nuclear power plant, 500 pounds of plutonium are made every year, and you only need 10 pounds to make an atomic bomb. So any country that buys a reactor from you, and you're selling them all over the world now to Saudi Arabia and other such really democratic countries, they can make 50 bombs a year. So nuclear power plants and nuclear reactors are bomb factories, which brings me back to Hanford. They made huge, huge, huge quantities of plutonium. Now let me tell you about plutonium. Plutonium is an iron analogue. In other words, the body thinks it's iron. So if you inhale a tiny amount, like a microgram, a millionth of a gram of plutonium, and it lodges in your lung, it irradiates a tiny volume of cells. And almost certainly years later, because the incubation time for cancer is 5 to 70 years, you may get a bit of pain in your chest, and you may cough up some blood, and you think, oh, hell, I'll forget about it. And then the next day you cough up some more blood, so you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, you must have an x-ray, and this time you need an x-ray. Don't get your teeth x-rayed every year, it's dangerous. But this time you need one. And the x-ray shows a mass in your chest, and you've got cancer of the lung. People with cancer of the lung don't survive. Now, the body thinks plutonium is iron, so in fact, if it gets into the bloodstream, it's deposited in the liver where iron is stored, where it can cause liver cancer. It goes to the bone where hemoglobin is formed, and of course hemoglobin is made a lot of iron. You know, when you lick some blood, it tastes like iron, like rusty iron, and so it can irradiate cells that are going to form bone cells, and those cells become malignant and form osteogenic sarcoma, or cancer of the bone, which is what poor Teddy Kennedy's son had, Edward, and had his leg amputated. We usually can't cure that because one cell will break away from the cancer mass, go up in a vessel, lodge in the lung, and the lung becomes full of metastases from the bone cancer. So cancer is a parasite that grows regardless of what we treat it with, and the patient withers away as we see, and then when the patient dies, the cancer dies. So it's a parasite. So it takes a single particle of plutonium in your lung, or in your blood, or in your bone marrow, or your liver, or your testicle, which it's like the plutonium has a predilection for testicles, and fetuses. And it can damage a fetus in the first 3 months of intrauterine life to cause deformities that thalidomide did, where babies were born with single eyes, no brains, no arms, and the like. That's called teratogenesis, damage of a normal, genetically normal fetus. That's what plutonium does. The placenta lets nothing through, no viruses or anything, but plutonium gets through because it's an iron analogue and the baby needs iron to grow. So plutonium is incredibly toxic and its half-life is 24,400 years, which you multiply by 10 to get its total radiological life, which is 250,000 years. So Hanford out there established the plutonium cycle. God damn it. And it made 77,000 hydrogen bombs from that plutonium. Your country has a nuclear addiction and it's sick. And tonight, it could blow up the world with Russia. Do you know that of the 23,000 H bombs in the world, Russia and America own 97% of them? Do you know that New York City is targeted with 40 hydrogen bombs as I speak? Yet they talk about terrorists. Who are the real terrorists? The Russians. And you. Washington is targeted with 60 hydrogen bombs. McNamara, who was Kennedy's Secretary of Defense, and I wrote an article about that. Every town in your country with a population of 50,000 is targeted with at least one hydrogen bomb. You've targeted the whole of China in your wisdom since the end of the Cold War. The whole of Russia's targeted, with 60 targeted on Moscow. Your policy in the Pentagon is to fight and win a nuclear war. Now, there's a gentleman in a suit there who's listening to me, but he started to walk away. I don't know why. What? No, but I wonder why you're walking away.
Getting a taco.
Getting a taco. Or do you disagree with what I said? I thought you did, but you can't have the stage because I've got it, okay? And what I'm saying is accurate. Accurate, according to Robert McNamara, all the literature, and I'm not bullshitting, I'm speaking the truth as a doctor. And don't tell me I bullshit. Because it makes me really angry, because tonight we could blow up the world by computer error. There are 1,000 people hacking into the early warning system and the Pentagon per day. Chinese hackers, young boys with maldeveloped frontal lobes who are brilliant, you know, Asperger's. I don't know how we're still here. And Russia and America have thousands of bombs on hair trigger alert, ready to be launched with a decision time by Putin or Obama of 3 minutes. And once launched, they go half an hour from launch to land on Moscow, all the cities in Europe, in England, Australia, Canada. And you know that 1,000 bombs dropping on 100 cities would create such a huge firestorm, and cities are full of toxic inflammatory materials, oil, you name it. A huge cloud of toxic black radioactive smoke will rise into the stratosphere, circling the Earth with a cloud so thick it blocks out the sun for up to 10 years, creating a short ice age, a nuclear winter, and the end of most organisms on Earth, including ourselves. Now, that could happen tonight, but why? Because Russia and America are now best friends. The Cold War's over, which is what initiated Hanford with America's paranoia towards Russians. And communists, ooh, communism, woo, naughty word. How ridiculous. When I first came here in 1978,